right. The NCAA yesterday decided that they will relinquish all rules when it comes to dictating what football can do as far as conferences. What I mean by that is conferences can decide on their own who plays in their conference championship game.
Right. It doesn't have to be division. They've removed the if you can't play a round robin schedule, which the Big 12 does.
Correct.
That's the only Power 5 conference. Everybody else has more teams than they can play every year. So prior to this change in rule, you had to have divisions.
Right.
And then the champion of both divisions played in a conference title game.
Right.
Now it can be one conference, no divisions, and they're going to Pac-12 immediately.
Starting this year.
Yeah. I don't think they're changing any of their schedule.
No.
For this year. Those changes will come in 23 and 24 down the road when they have room to be able to adjust their schedule.
Right.
But
So what it means is, as opposed to the North Champ and the South Champ meeting in the Pac-12 championship game, in a lot of cases in a venue, whether it's the place in where the 49ers play, right? You know where they had it
Levi Stadium.
Yeah, and I think they had it in Vegas last year, didn't they?
Did they play in Vegas? I think they did. Actually.
Yeah, which makes more sense because you get more people.
Yeah,
because you're in Vegas. But like for instance, in 2011, the people in the championship game was the 9th-rated Oregon Ducks against UCLA, when the two best teams were the 4th-ranked Stanford Cardinal and the 9th-ranked Oregon Ducks.
Yeah,
that would have been a better game. Same thing the next year where it was Stanford UCLA in the original, and it should have been Oregon and Stanford. This past season, when Oregon played Utah, there'd be no change. It would have been the same.
Right.
So what it means is, the two best teams, the best records by percentage. I'm not sure what the tie-breaking procedures are. I'm sure it's the same as it was before.
Yeah.
The only question is because it's not a complete round-robin schedule.
What happens when you have 4 teams with the same winning percentage?
Right, and schedule inequality in your own conference.
Right.
How are they going to determine who gets in, who doesn't? I mean, then it's the tiebreaker. I get it, but in some cases it might not be that fair because some teams are playing easier teams. Now, here's the question: do you want this in the Big Ten?
Yes.
No divisions?
Yes. No divisions. No.
Division.
No to no division. Yes to no divisions.
Yes to no divisions.
Yes. And to be able to create your own schedule. And yes, it will be inequality will certainly be a part of the schedule equation.
Because we talked about last week, some of the protected games that you always want to keep.
Right. And so that was in reference to the ACC wanting to get rid of divisions and going with a 3-5-5 where you would play three protected opponents every single year. And then you would alternate every other year the other 5 opponents. So you would play in a conference of 14 teams, all of the teams in a 2-year span. And over the course of a student-athlete's career, if they stay for their entire time, they would eventually play every venue as well.
Right.
I think is a great part of the college experience.
The problem is you might have inequality in your 3 protected games as well.
Right, because we talked about Michigan, having Michigan State, Ohio State, and then we debated the third, whether it was Wisconsin,
right,
Iowa, whoever it would be. For Michigan State, that protected opponent would be Michigan, and then Penn State, I think we had talked about with the land-grant trophy.
Yeah.
For
Ohio State, it would be Penn State and Michigan.
Right, and so you start to see the inequalities come in.
Correct.
But I'm all for it, and I think the big debate will come for the college football playoffs when you have a schedule inequality and you have a team, let's just say Michigan State and Michigan are playing for the Big Ten championship, but either Penn State or Ohio State maybe has a tougher, rated schedule, and they don't play in that championship game. They don't have that exposure to that extra loss, but the College Football Playoff Committee may say, you know what? Hey, we still like Ohio State.
Yeah.
We still think that they played Penn State, because they played Michigan, because they played a tougher schedule in conference.
Right.
We're going to give them the nod.
Right. The other thing that I think would only affect, for the most part, people around here is if they did that. And look, obviously, it won't happen every year. It might only happen once a decade or twice a decade, where the Ohio State-Michigan game will be played in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, outstanding.
And a lot of people don't like that idea.
Well, it would have happened this last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so is that something Michigan fans want? Is that something Buckeye fans want where, Michigan would have had to beat them twice?
Right.
Hey, why not?
Buckeye fans would have wanted it this year because there's no snow in the dome.
Right.